Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Hello, all you wonderful gatekeepers. Thank you so much for dealing with Steve being sick, and I think Sandy's under the weather. I have pulled my back, and I'm telling you, Link in the chair with Abraham Lincoln and Donnie Cho last night. I think it was like 15 minutes to get out of the chair. So, if you don't mind, I got plenty of pillows. I've got extra covers, and there's lots of room. Just crawl in this wonderful, big old soft bed. Grab a pillow. If Glenn is in here, you remember last time, please, aim it somewhere else. There he is. If you're going to eat bacon in bed, I don't mind. Popcorn, whatever. We're all fam. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I have two great mysteries, and I'll tell you what, you guys are absolutely fabulous. So, first things first, anybody needing healing light, a hug, love light, positive energy, prayer, healing vibes, send them out. We all send all of those to our wonderful old rattlesnake, Steve Stockton. Mairead is here. Hello, darling. Everybody was asking. See, we told you she was good, but you know what? When somebody isn't here for a few minutes or a couple shows, we worry, and we send out love, and we send out the gatekeeper signal and see if you're okay. So, that's it. Just because we care. And you guys are here. Did you? Monica, she pulled her back out too. Yeah, I figured if I just chill, then I'll be okay to go back to work. It was a real rough week last week. We had two girls out. So I say girls, these are grown women, but you know how it is. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Now, it's mystery night. Woo-hoo. So be ready for that creaky door, because you're going to hear it twice. So if you got headphones in, Mairead, you want to put out the loud sound warning, or if anybody wants to throw that out. Loud sound warning coming up. That creaky door, they never oiled it. And I do believe it was in homage to Inner Sanctum, but I could be wrong on that. So, thank you guys for all the wonderful chats and comments about last night's show. Donnie Cho and I are absolutely digging on this. As you see last night, we just barely scratched the surface. We are totally on it. I am talking with Lynn Monet. She will be back. I am having her back with Steve on Monday Madness, because we've got to talk more about those frequencies and Bigfoots and what's going on in the afterlife and all that wonderful stuff. And I want to introduce her to anybody that didn't get to see her last time she was on, and also to Steve. So I think that'll be a wonderful convo for Monday Madness. But tonight, it's definitely madness. So anybody hurting, just listen. Get comfortable. Turn the lights down low. Put those candles on. Light them. Either push button or light the flame. Because tonight we've got two wonderful mysteries. Now, the second one we're going to hear, the ghostly detective, I had to hunt high and low, look under every, dusty corner to find that one, but I got it. And then it didn't want to load, and, but I wrestled with it, and I got it. So I'm so excited because it was so different. It was, it's just a different story. The first one, for anybody that needs a little laugh, a little lift, a little lighthearted fun, the Canterville Ghost. Now, if you've seen the movie, you haven't really heard the story, because you know, how they tend to change things a lot and Hollywoodize things. I think some of the older ones are really the best. There's my little patent thing. I think the older ones are really the best, and I think a lot of people kind of feel that way here in this chat. All these gatekeepers here love that stuff. But if you didn't know anything about it, I thought I would tell you just a titch about it. It's Oscar Wilde's delightful story. It's basically come to life with vivid performances of all these different wonderful characters. And I think Oscar Wilde did something similar with this that Mark Twain and Dickens did. He dropped this in two parts and left a cliffhanger in the middle. Tonight we're going to get a shorter version. It's about 48 minutes, I believe. And it's just wonderful how they put it together. So I think it's a very delightful story. You're going to enjoy it. It really sparks the imagination. And then I'll come back in and we'll do our second one, and that's The Ghostly Detective. I think you guys are really going to like this. So move over, guys. Give everybody room. No hogging the popcorn bowl. Everybody share the bacon and the love, because I love you guys so much. And thanks again for all the comments. And here's some good news. We are at 1,403 subscribers, and that is all due to you. If you weren't sharing it out, giving it a thumbs up, YouTube wouldn't be recommending it, because you know, I don't go over crazy with advertising and all that kind of stuff. It's all completely organic, and it is all due to you wonderful people, the wonderful listeners, and my gatekeepers, and my wonderful mods, and you know, the support you guys have given me throughout this whole thing. So that's why even when I get sick or I get hurt or something like that, I'm going to really always try to be here for you guys, because you guys were here for me. So without further ado, The Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde. Enjoy.
The time now is 7 minutes past 10.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to a world we all inhabit too little. The world of imagination. Our own. Yours and mine. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a ghost? Well, one of this earth's greatest writers did, Oscar Wilde. And having let his imagination play with the idea, he set down his findings in a ghost story that ranks with the world's finest, the classic tale of the Canterville Ghost. And if by chance you should think that a ghost's life is all wine and roses, why then listen to what went on one night at Canterville Castle.
Blood! I must have blood. And when I say blood, I do not mean a drop or two. I mean gallons. Or am I not called Gibeon, the bloodsucker of Bexley Moor? Blood! Oh, give me blood!
Blood, my foot! What you need is some oil for those rusty chains.
Our mystery drama, The Canterville Ghost, was especially adapted from the Oscar Wilde classic for the Mystery Theater by George Lothar and stars Arnold Moss. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One. story takes place in Canterville Castle, ancestral home of the de Canterville family since the 15th century. You immediately assume, I have no doubt, that the castle is in England. Well, it isn't. It was, but it isn't anymore. For you see, that well-known multimillionaire Hiram Otis had it dismantled, stone by stone, transported to the United States, and re-erected, stone by stone, on his own estate in the Midwest. So it is that one fine afternoon, we find him, Hiram, and his wife Martha, and his lovely daughter Virginia, and Geoffrey de Canterville, her fiancé, in the newly restored library of the newly erected castle of the Cantervilles.
Well, Mr. Otis, I hope you're satisfied with the job I've done. Canterville Castle re-erected, lock, stock, and barrel, even to the ancestral gardens which surround it.
Well, the castle's okay, but I don't know about the gardens. The guy I hired to be the general manager when we opened the place as a tourist resort says the pool ought to be where you put the pine woods.
But, Daddy, that's the exact area where the pine woods were. In England.
Well, Ginny, dear, tourists won't know that.
But that was part of the deal when Daddy bought the castle from Jeff and hired him to re-erect it here, that nothing would be changed.
Well, business is business. If it'll be more convenient for tourists to have the pool where the pine woods are. Now, what's this?
Well, you know what that is, Mr. Otis. It's the blood stain. That's the spot in front of the fireplace where Sir Simon de Canterville stabbed his wife to death way back in 1601.
I told you I wanted it removed.
And I told you it can't be removed.
You got any Otis bathroom cleanser around, Jeff?
Yes, of course, in the cleaning closets. You told me to stock it.
Get a can of it.
But, Mr. Otis, really...
Otis bathroom cleanser is guaranteed to get rid of any stain. And it'll get rid of this one. Go on, give me a can of it.
Good heavens, that vase. Oh, dear, it fell off the mantelpiece.
No, it didn't fall off, Mrs. Otis. It was knocked off, I'd say, by Sir Simon de Canterville.
The ghost?
Yes, I'm afraid he doesn't like the idea of removing that bloodstain. However, I'll get the cleanser.
Him and his ghost. Do you think I was born yesterday?
Jeff wouldn't lie to you, Daddy. and if he says the castle's haunted, then...
Now, look, Ginny. Just because this fortune hunter fiancé of yours, Lord Geoffrey Canterville, believes in ghosts, doesn't mean I have to.
Daddy, if you call Jeff a fortune hunter once more, just once more...
Okay, honey. I'm sorry. All I want is your happiness, sweetie. And if he'll make you happy, fine.
Here we are, Mr. Otis. A fresh can of Otis bathroom cleanser.
Now, let me have it. Now, watch. I spray it on the bloodstain. You bring a cloth to wipe it off with?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind. Use my handkerchief. Now, one wipe, so. Where's your bloodstain now?
Oh, Hiram, it's gone.
What else? An Otis guarantee is an Otis guarantee.
It will come back.
Not after an Otis cleanser treatment, it won't.
What was that? Oh, what is it?
It's the ghost again, Mrs. Otis.
No, it was the wind, something.
But there isn't any wind.
Well, it was something else, but not a ghost. I just plain don't believe in ghosts, and that's the end of that.
Well, if you ask me, Mr. Otis, it's only the beginning.
Eleanor! Oh, blast the woman, where is she?
Here, Simon, dear. Here I am.
Get the paint bucket. We have to repaint the stain.
Again.
I promise you, however often Mr. Hiram Otis erases my bloodstain...
My bloodstain, dear.
Oh, all right, yours. But you wouldn't have had it if it hadn't been for me. You do forgive me.
Oh, my dear, I have forgiven you at least once every 100 years since it happened. I should not be here otherwise.
And the least I can do is to see that your stay here remains peaceful by giving that barbarous American his comeuppance. Fear not, my dearest love. It is Sir Simon de Canterville, me, against Mr. Hiram Otis, him. And I truly believe there's little doubt as to the outcome of the battle.
blue blood stain? What do you mean a blue blood stain?
Just what I say, Mr. Otis.
The stain's reappeared, and this time it's blue, Daddy.
Now, look, I don't know what you two are up to.
Up to?
For your information, the boss painter who's redecorating the upstairs bedrooms complained that somebody's stealing his paints.
And you think that Jeff and I would...
Who else?
But why would you think that?
Because the way I see it...
Yes? How do you see it?
Well, I don't know how I see it. All I know is it doesn't make sense. And we better start making some sense around here because we open in a week. Now get rid of that stain. Once and for all, get rid of it.
Do you realize that I have repainted that bloodstain by the fireplace 4 separate times, and each time that meddling American has had it removed?
I should think you'd want to forget it. After all, it's a reminder of why you are doomed to haunt Canterville Castle. Oh, dear, and I with you.
But you are not. You can leave any time you wish, Eleanor.
Oh, Simon, not without you.
Oh, my dear. Was ever man so loved by woman as I by you?
Or I by you.
And yet, I killed you.
Because you loved me.
Well, however you put it, I condemned us both to eternal misery. Well, it shall be misery in peace. For nearly 400 years I've haunted Canterville Castle without hindrance. Yet what that vile upstart has put us through in the past 3 years, tearing down the castle around our heads, building it up again around our heads, and the noise. And now he means to turn it, my castle, into what they call a tourist attraction. Never!
My dearest, what can you do?
That beastly American must be driven out. And his family with him. I know. Let me see what I have in the way of grisly costumes. Yes. I think this should do the trick quite neatly.
Which is it?
Gaunt Gibeon, the bloodsucker of Bexley Moor.
Oh, that's smashing.
Jeff, I won't let you get married till you get a job.
But, Daddy, Jeff doesn't need a job. He has all the money you paid him for Canterville Castle.
Have you? Have you, Jeff?
You know I haven't, Mr. Otis.
But obviously Ginny doesn't. You didn't tell her.
Tell her what, Otis?
Yes, what?
Well, tell her.
Ginny, I'm afraid that just about every cent your father paid for Canterville went to pay off back taxes, liens, mortgages, interest payments, and the Lord only knows what.
Oh, Jeff.
Well, don't you see, that's why I sold Canterville in the first place. I had to. I couldn't keep it up anymore. I had no choice. It was sell or lose everything.
So you see, he's broke. Flat bust.
Now, just a moment. I have the promise of a job, Mr. Otis, a top-flight architectural firm in New York.
The promise of a job. Now, look, Jeff, there'll be no marriage until... What's that?
I don't know.
I'm afraid I do. It's the Canterville ghost.
Ghost?
Come on, Jeff. Come on now. Aren't these tricks of yours getting just a little childish?
Now, Mr. Otis, believe me, this is no act. It's the real thing. Whenever the ghost moans like this, it means he's going to put in an appearance. And I've seen some of those appearances. Now, Mrs. Otis, Ginny, you'd better come with me.
Oh, where to?
Well, anywhere but here. I'm not afraid of the ghost myself. He's never done me any harm, but his appearance can be positively ghastly. And you'd better not see it, either of you.
No, I'm staying here.
What?
I've been hoping to see him, Jeff.
Hoping to see the ghost?
Yes, Mother. Oh, somehow I have a feeling I won't be afraid of him. Don't ask me why. I can't explain the feeling. I just know I won't be.
Of course you won't. Jeff let you in on his little gag. But I suppose I'm to be scared to death, huh?
Oh, but Daddy, there is a ghost. You've got to believe it.
Oh.
Look! Oh, my heavens!
Blood! I must have blood!
He's got to be kidding.
When I say blood, I do not mean a drop or two. I mean gallons. For am I not Gaunt Gibeon, the bloodsucker of Bexley Moor? Blood!
Blood, my foot. What you need is some oil for those rusty chains. And I just happen to have a can of Otis all-purpose here in this desk drawer.
Cringe, thou knave! Grovel in abject fear before me.
Now, here's that can of Otis oil.
Oh!
Oh, knock off the screaming. You got nothing to scream about, because believe me, this oil will do the trick for those chains of yours.
Leave off! Thou art ruining my chain!
Daddy, stop it. Leave him alone.
And another squirt
Oh,
right
Daddy,
here.
stop it. Give me that can.
Here now.
Leave him alone. Can't you see how unhappy he is?
Oh, now, look, Jenny, any guy tries to pull a gag on
This
me
is no
like that.
gag, no trick. This is misery. Oh, look at his face. Look into his eyes. He's in agony. I've never felt so sorry for anyone in my life.
You feel sorry for me?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
No one has felt sorry for me in over 370 years.
I do.
Well, you frighten me. Oh, no, you can't be. You couldn't be. No. Not the Golden Girl.
Oh, come on, you two. Stop it. Nice little act, but just a little creaky in spots.
Clod! You lout! You poltroon! Is it thus you'd taunt a noble lord of Canterville? Hear me, then. I sought but to warn you hence by harrowing up your soul. But there's another way to be rid of you. Death!
No,
No. Please, no, please, I beg you. Don't kill him. Don't.
For thine own sake, then, child, be warned and get thee hence. I am Simon of Canterville, am easy wrought into murderous rage. So be gone. Be gone, be gone.
Do you believe now that he's a real ghost?
I sure do.
I guess we better do what he wants us to do, Otis. Let's leave the castle.
Oh, no.
Are you saying that you won't do
You bet I am. I paid a fortune for this joint. I'd rather die than see that money go down the drain. Oh, no. I'll tear this damn castle down again, stone by stone, before he gets the satisfaction of seeing me run. You hear that, Buster? Stone by stone.
It certainly appears that for once, for the first time in nearly 400 years, the ghost of Sir Simon de Canterville has met his match. What happens, you may ask, when ancient English ghost meets eyeball to eyeball with modern American business tycoon? We'll learn more when I return shortly with Act 2.
Some beer drinkers have funny ideas about beer. They think beer improves with age, like wine. We'll find a brewmaster, though. You'll find a beer drinker who knows better. The Budweiser brewmaster says it all depends on how beer is aged. Just letting beer sit in lagering tanks makes it older, not necessarily better. That even goes for keeping a case around the house for a couple of months. But there is one kind of aging that's good for beer. The Budweiser kind. Beechwood aging. In this kind of aging, something happens. It lets all the flavor of the choicest hops and best barley malt that go into Budweiser get through to you. Sure, it takes more time and trouble to brew Budweiser that way, but brewing beer right does make a difference. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Really, you know, Sir Simon de Canterville, or rather I should say the ghost of Sir Simon de Canterville, can't be blamed for threatening to kill Hiram Otis. After all, it is his castle, or it was, and, well, how would you feel if you'd lived somewhere for nearly 400 years, only to have someone you'd never seen before threaten to tear the place down, stone by stone? Now, you really can't blame him for being in a towering rage.
Eleanor, I shall rend him limb from limb.
Oh, Simon, perhaps we ought to leave the Americans in peace.
Oh, no, no.
Oh, darling, please.
I say no.
No, Simon, please. Don't make me speak severely to you.
Severely?
Well, truthfully, it's quite possible you've lost your ability to frighten people.
Lost my ability to frighten people?
Yes, dear. You are but a ghost of your former self.
Just what do you mean?
Well, I very much fear that you're growing stale. And in the parlance of the day, why, you simply can't hack it anymore.
Hack it? Not able to hack it? Me?
Oh, Simon, come now. Were you not reduced to using brute force? You, who through all these centuries have prided yourself on the artistry of your hideous disguises. Why, you failed to frighten a mere mortal. And Simon, an American at that.
Well, he's a clod, altogether too stupid to have even a semblance of nerves.
Is that thunder?
I think so. It just occurs to me. I've always been at my best during a thunderstorm.
True enough.
And tonight, to judge from that sky out there, will be a night of elemental fury. A perfect background for haunting. I shall outdo myself this night. I shall employ a disguise so horrible, so fiendish. Something guaranteed to drive the churl out of his skull.
What?
Yes, that is the question. What shall it be?
Oh, I have every confidence that you, my sweet, will create a costume that every ghost in England, in the world, would give his winding sheet to possess.
Oh, you are too kind, altogether too kind. But let me think, Aha.
Oh, you have it?
Yes. You, my darling, have given me a thought. Winding sheets. That is the ticket.
A winding sheet?
Of course. I have an excellent one. Very old, very moldy. The one with the frilled cuffs and neck.
But of course, do go on.
I will wear that and take with me my rusty dagger. I shall approach the room moaning and groaning in a most gruesome fashion. When I enter it, I shall stand over them in the form of a green, icy, cold corpse till they're all but paralyzed with fear. And then I shall cast off the winding sheet and crawl around the room with white, bleached bones and one rolling eyeball.
Oh, Simon, dear, you have outdone yourself.
I dare say even you will agree I can still cut the mustard, my dear.
Oh, you can, you have. What of the girl, the American's daughter?
Oh, she must go in peace. I touch her not.
Why so?
Because, well, my dear, you will scarcely believe this, but not only did I fail to frighten her, but she said she felt sorry for me.
She said that?
Yes. And she looked at me when she said it with eyes... Well, Eleanor, her eyes were filled with sympathy and pity and... yes, love.
Oh, Simon, could she be the Golden Girl?
I should like to think so, but I fear not, my love. It's too much to ask. Much too much. But I must to work. The night approaches and the storm. I promise you, that within a few short hours I shall reduce the cold-blooded Hiram Otis to a mindless mess.
Why have you brought me here, Jeff? I've never seen this part of the castle before.
It's a hidden passage, or it once was. As to why I brought you here, well, it seems to me every time I want to be alone with you, your father shows up, or your mother, and... Oh, Ginny, I do want to talk to you.
Yes?
Ginny, marry me.
But, Jeff, dear, I'm going to. You know that.
No, I mean now. Tonight.
Tonight?
Yes, let's get in my car, drive to town, find a justice of the peace, and get married.
But, darling, we don't have a license.
Oh, we'll get one.
How?
I don't know, but we will. I'll manage it somehow.
Jeff, this is the United States, not England. Things are done differently here. And anyway, there's no sense discussing it because I just can't go against my father's wishes.
Oh, you don't have to be afraid of him.
Afraid? Darling, I'm not afraid of him. I love him. I know what you think. That he's hard and domineering and ruthless and a lot of other things, but you know, inside, he's not that way at all.
Perhaps not. Unfortunately, I only know him from the outside.
But as time goes by, you'll learn to know him better, and you'll see...
Ginny, you're not a child. You're a woman. I need you, Ginny. I want you.
Jeff, please, darling, no.
Ginny, please.
Jeff. Oh,
Blood! I must have blood!
Oh, no, not tonight. Not now.
And when I say blood, I don't mean a drop or two of blood. I mean gallons of blood.
Him? It's the ghost.
Who else?
How to drive that churl Hiram Otis out of his mind. Oh, misery. Oh, agony. Oh.
He went right by us. He never saw us.
Yes, I know. Now let's follow him. See what he's up to.
Oh, horror. Hideous horror. Hark ye to the horrifying moans of the vampire monk. Oh.
My parents' bedroom. He's gone in there.
Ye to the horrifying moans of the vampire monk or the bloodless Benedictine.
Who's there?
A vampire monk. See, I bend over you, a green, icy corpse. Watch as I crawl around the room with white bleached bones and one rolling eyeball.
What are you doing on the floor?
Huh?
Oh, why, you're the ghost, aren't you? Well, please now, could you be just a bit more quiet? My husband has had a very tiring day and he needs a sleep, and you're certainly going to wake him up sooner or later with all that moaning and groaning.
Well, I am a ghost. I'm haunting you.
All right, but please do it quietly.
You ride and ridicule me, would you?
Oh, but please, you
And
misunderstand.
pay for it. Aye, woman, pay with thy heart's blood. You've seen your daughter for the last time on this earth. For the last time.
Jeff, he means me.
No, darling, he can't if he didn't see us following him.
I have seen you. I saw you there in the secret passage, but was too busy with other matters to be bothered with you. I saw you following me. From the back of my head, I saw you. Stand aside, Geoffrey de Canterville. I take your beloved with me into the next world.
Oh, no, you don't.
I warn you. You're a Canterville, and I would do you no harm, but stand in my way, and I will place on you, as I already have on them, a Canterville curse.
No. Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Stand aside, I say. Stand aside.
Wait.
Yes?
If you wish to take me into the next world, all right, go ahead. But leave Geoffrey alone. Leave my parents alone. Don't harm them.
You would give your life for them?
If I must.
Ginny, no.
Ginny! Oh, Ginny! Geoffrey! She's gone, vanished!
Yes.
What does it mean? Oh, good Lord, what does it mean?
What? What does what mean? What's going on here?
Hiram, that ghost, he's taken Ginny. He's taken her with him into the next world.
Oh, come on now.
It's the truth. In heaven's name, Mr. Otis, wake up to the truth. The ghost of Simon de Canterville has taken Ginny out of this world and into his own. and you'll never see her again. And I'll never see her again.
What the devil are you talking about?
It's the curse of the Cantervilles. The ghost placed the curse on you tonight. Oh, what lies ahead for you, Mr. Otis?
Yeah? What does lie ahead for me?
I can't even begin to tell you. And even if I could, I wouldn't dare.
Strange sort of ghost, Sir Simon de Canterville. At one moment, he's almost gentle, tender, and the next, in a towering rage. He acts almost like us humans, doesn't he? And like us humans, he may have jumped from the frying pan into the fire in abducting Virginia Otis. We'll find out shortly when I return with Act 3.
Just when you think you've packed away your sinus miseries along with your winter coat, along comes summer sinus.
My face hurts. My head aches. How could it be my sinus? It's summer.
Even a change in the weather or air pollution can make your sinus flare up. So can pollen. Your allergy can trigger sinus.
When it happens, what can I take for it?
Take Sign-Off tablets. They help relieve throbbing sinus pain and help drain clogged sinus cavities. The miseries of summer sinus.
Sign-Off can do all that?
Right. Sign-Off tablets give you a full dose of pure aspirin for pain, plus a decongestant to help drain clogged sinus cavities, plus an anti-allergy ingredient.
Sign-Off tablets. The sinus medicine in the bright red box.
For summer sinus miseries, get Sign-Off. Signeoff. Take only as directed.
Sign-Off. I'll remember that.
Young I may be, but still I'm a man. Just turned 18 and I'll do what I can to find me a place where I can be me. Get ready for life, be free as the sea. Oh, where do I go from here? Oh, where do I go from here? I'm finished with school, but what lies ahead? Don't wanna get trapped, wanna feel free instead. All over the world, there's so much to do. The call of the sea, don't you hear it too? Oh, where do I go from here? Oh, where do I go from here?
What about the new Navy? You'll get your chance at success, learn an exciting job, and see the world. Call toll-free 800-841-8000 or see your Navy recruiter. Be someone special in the new Navy.
I know where I'm going from here.
I take you now down a short flight of wide stone steps, somewhere in the nether regions of Canterville Castle. Steps stained by centuries of dampness. It is a place where rats and beetles might scuttle about, in and among the bleached bones of a skeleton which lies on the stone floor. Poor skeleton. One of its hands, manacled, claws towards the remains of a bowl which once held food. A door opens. A light appears on the steps, and Sir Simon de Canterville sweeps down the steps, dragging Virginia Otis after him. He flings her to the floor.
Here lie my bones. Here soon shall lie yours.
He whips a dagger from a case at his side, stoops, grabs her by the hair, and holding her head back, makes as if to plunge the blade into her throat. But he stops short.
How can you look at me like that? Are you not afraid?
No.
You face death, yet you're not afraid.
Do I face death? Will you kill me?
What is to prevent me?
You killed once out of passion and have suffered nearly 4 centuries for it. Would you dare again?
I would.
Well, then, if I'm to die, I suppose I shall. Being afraid wouldn't help matters. But really, I'm not afraid. At least, not of you.
Eleanor was right.
Eleanor?
My wife. She says I don't seem to frighten anyone anymore, that I can't hack it anymore.
Why do you want to?
I'm a ghost. It's my only reason for existing.
It's not a very good reason, if you ask me.
It's no reason at all, if it comes to that. It's simply part of the punishment I must bear for murdering my wife.
The Lady Eleanor?
Yes.
Why did you murder her?
Jealousy. Unreasoning jealousy. I thought her in love with another man. I found out later how wrong I'd been. But it was too late then. I assure you my remorse was so great I hardly struggled at all when her brothers chained me in this dungeon and starved me to death.
And that's your skeleton?
Yes.
Poor skeleton. Poor ghost. You must be very tired.
As only a man who has not slept for nearly 400 years can be. But there'll be no rest for me, never any rest, until the legend of Canterville Castle is fulfilled.
But I didn't know there was a legend. Jeff never told me.
Oh, yes, yes. And when it is fulfilled, then I shall sleep at last in the little garden far beyond the pine woods.
What garden do you mean?
The garden where the grass grows long and deep, where the hemlock flowers are like great white stars and the nightingale sings all night long. All night long he sings, and the cold crystal moon looks down, and the yew tree spreads its giant arms over the sleepers.
The sleepers? Do you mean the garden of death?
Yes, death. Would you help me if you could? If you could make the legend come true, would you?
Yes. What is the legend?
It is this. When a golden girl can win prayer from beyond the gates of sin, when the barren almond bears and the girl gives away her tears, then shall all the house be still and peace come to Canterville.
What does it mean?
It means that you must weep with me for my sins because I have no tears, and pray with me for my soul because I have no faith. And then, if you have always been sweet and good and gentle, that withered almond tree you have perhaps seen outside the library window.
The barren almond tree, yes.
That tree will bloom again to show.
Yes, to show?
That the angel of death has had mercy on me.
I should like to do that for you.
I know. But you may fail.
Yes?
And if you fail, the tortures of the damned will be yours through all eternity. You must dare to go beyond the gates of sin. You will see fearful shapes, hear wicked voices. If you are the golden girl of the legend, you will not be harmed. But if you're not the golden, I tremble for you. Well, what is your answer?
I will do it.
Think. Be sure. Oh, do be sure.
I am sure.
Then turn, and behold the gates of sin. You shrink back. You are afraid.
The shrieks, the laughter.
Worse lies beyond the gates. Far worse. You are afraid. And I am doomed.
No.
You will go for me. You will go beyond the gates of sin.
For you or any other soul.
And give me your hand. Let me kiss it.
making you as cold as ice. Oh, but your lips burn like fire.
Soon perhaps my lips, too, shall be cold. If you are the golden girl. I pray God you are, for your sake more than mine.
You must release my hand now. If I'm to go beyond the gate.
Yes, I know. Only...
Let go. Let go.
Go. No, Virginia! Come back! Come back!
Mr. Otis, there's nothing that can be done. Virginia's gone. Forever.
Hiram, it's all your fault. If we hadn't ridiculed the ghost, if we had just taken him seriously, all this would have been avoided.
I got to admit you're right, Martha. But that doesn't help matters. All I want now is to get Ginny back. Safe and sound.
The girl, where is she?
She's gone. Gone. I've been a fool. I thought she might be the golden girl, the girl of the legend, and I let her go beyond the gates of sin.
Oh, no. If that be so, I am done with you, Simon.
Oh, no, not you.
Oh, don't touch me. Don't touch me. You're revolting enough to be human.
I tried to stop her at the last moment. I tried. But it was too late. Too late. Too late.
Simon.
The nightingale. Eleanor. The nightingale.
Oh.
It sings. It sings in the garden of death. It sings.
Oh, and the girl, Virginia. Oh, she succeeded. She must have. Simon, look.
Virginia.
Sir Simon.
You've returned. From beyond the gates of sin, you've returned.
Did you think I wouldn't?
Well, yes, I thought that.
I knew I would. I'd not have gone past those gates if I hadn't felt sure.
Then you are the golden girl of the legend. You are the golden girl.
Are you saved now?
Oh, yes, child, yes. I'm saved. After all these centuries, released. And you're the one who did it. Eleanor, she is the one. Well, what can I do to thank her?
What? Oh, Simon, restore her to her own world. What else, dear?
My watch is stopped. What time is it?
It's nearly 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning? I've got a 9 o'clock committee breakfast. Oh, what am I saying? Business. It becomes a habit. My little girl is gone, but my first thought is if Oh, God in your heaven, what kind of a man am I?
Oh, Hiram, you're a good man. You just lost yourself in making a living.
Yes. Lost myself in making a living. Yeah. We spend too much of our lives making a living. We should spend more of it living. I guess your ghost knows that, Jeff.
I don't know whether he does or not.
I do. What was that? I thought I heard... It sounded like Ginny's voice.
Yes, I thought I heard it too.
You did, Jeff. I'm back. I'm here.
Ginny!
Oh, my God.
Ginny!
Oh, Ginny. Oh, my baby. My baby.
Where have you been? What happened to you?
No,
Please,
don't ask me. Don't ask me that ever again.
Yes, but Ginny,
Daddy, I love you, but please don't, not ever, try to tell me what to do with my life, my soul, again. Let me do what I want to do.
what God put me into the world to do.
You sound strange.
No, not strange. Truthful. I've seen what lies beyond this world, beyond us. And we here on this earth, we think that we're the end of everything, and we're really only the beginning. Dad and Mom, and you too, Jeff. There's so much out there that we don't understand. So much.
Ginny, what did you see?
What's that? Not a bird at this hour of the morning.
It's a nightingale, Mother. And Come to the window. I'm sure we'll see what I expect to see. Yes. There. Look.
At what, Ginny? At what?
The storm is over now. And the moon, a great white moon, sheds its light over the gardens. Look. The almond tree. The barren almond tree.
Why, it's blossomed. I can see the flowers in the moonlight. And that tree, it's part of the legend. For centuries it hasn't bloomed, and legend said it never would until peace came to Canterville.
And peace has come.
Far away, beyond the pine wood, there is a little garden. There the grass grows long and deep. There the hemlock flowers are like great white stars. And the nightingale sings all night long. All night long he sings. And the cold crystal moon looks down. And the yew tree spreads its giant arms over the sleepers.
Jeffrey.
Yes, Ginny.
He's at peace, Jeffrey. The Canterville ghost is finally at peace.
This story, this beautiful story, we owe to a man named Oscar Wilde. Perhaps some of you know the tragic details of the last years of his life. Well, no matter. What's important is what he wrote. Almost 100 years ago. Wrote what entertained you in this past hour. And perhaps enlightened you, too. It is better to live than to make a living. I'll be back shortly.
Hi, Ms. Goldilocks here. Professionally, taste testing diet drinks can be very difficult, but I've just had to bear with it. Then I found sugar-free diet 7-Up. It doesn't taste like other diet drinks. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. Sugar-free diet 7-Up tastes so good that I've taste tested it hundreds of times, and each time I've given it my seal of approval. Yes, this one's just right.
You've been hearing some pretty lavish claims recently about miles per gallon. We'd like you to consider something equally important, and that's range. Range is the miles per gallon multiplied by the number of gallons your car's tank holds. Range is what makes the Buick Apollo such a special small car. It comes from coupling the Apollo's economical 6-cylinder engine with a standard 21-gallon tank. It holds a lot, but it doesn't use a lot. Look into the Apollo. It's the Buick of small cars.
Oscar Wilde is buried in Père Lachaise Cemetery, just outside Paris. I visited his tomb. A tomb over which a sad angel with drooping wings weeps. And yes, I bowed my head. Not so much in homage to the man as to the spirit within him. The spirit within all of us. Our own private, very private Canterville ghost. Our cast included Arnold Moss, Marion Seldes, Mildred Clinton, William Redfield, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free diet 7-Up and Sign-Off, the sinus medicines. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Well, how about that one, guys? I mean, the whole story is absolutely lovely, but they had to cut it down into 48 minutes. So, if you haven't read the original Oscar Wilde, The Canterville Ghost, I suggest you read it. And I'd like to also add Olivia Newton-John. I mean, who would have even thought about it? You know, who would even think it? And you guys are right. I mean, you know, what do you say? Bless her heart, rest in peace. And I still have that song playing in my head. I wish I could play it here, but we'll get taken down. So instead, we're going to listen to the next one, A Ghostly Detective. Now, this one, I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but it's a little crazy in the middle. But listen to it and tell me if you think anything like this could be possible. We've seen some stuff. So, you know, who's to say? We've seen people marry 300-year-old pirates and get pulled into portals and disappear out of thin air, so, and come back out of thin air too. So, a little ghostly detective. And that will round out our night. Thanks all for being here. Thanks for listening along. And I hope you enjoy it.
The time now is 7 minutes past 10.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. It was Oscar Wilde who wrote, in a surprisingly gentle and almost naive tone, "Death must be so beautiful, to lie and listen to silence."
Described by him.
What does that have to do with the performing arts?
Oh, every...
Dead will stay quietly asleep. That's why we have ghost stories.
Guys, is this the same one? It's not, is it? He just said Oscar Wilde. Did I screw up? I don't know. Let's play out and see. If it is, well, I don't know. Hang on just a minute. Oh, gosh. Hang in there with me, guys. Hold on, gatekeepers. We're taking a harsh turn. All right.
And listen to silence. To have no yesterday and no tomorrow. To forget time. To forgive life. To stay at peace. The trouble is, not all the dead will stay quietly asleep. That's why we have ghost stories.
Frightened to death? More than that. Asphyxiated, smothered. I don't know how to describe it.
During the war, I had a friend who was in a building that was bombed. The force of the blast drove him against the wall, and he looked like that. I do not know the exact word in English, but flattened and spread wide.
Our mystery drama, The Ghostly Private Eye, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Larry Haynes. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Do you have a taste for things that are a little out of the ordinary?
Look, Doris, it has a clock in its stomach and it glows in the dark.
I think we should snap it up, Dick.
Do you like things that are fun, but are also functional?
Look, Dick, this is fun.
But is it functional, Doris?
Do you want to be the talk of the town?
Oh, Dick and Doris, we were just talking about you.
Then the Opel Isuzu is your kind of car. It's not ordinary, it's fun but functional, and people will talk about it.
Did you hear what Dick and Doris bought?
The Opel Isuzu, a dandy new small car, at your Buick Opel dealers.
Hi, I'm Don Rickles. I'm in the business of making people laugh. It's good to have people laugh. Make them feel happy. I'll tell you who also makes people feel happy. Your YMCA. The whole family can take advantage of the activities at your neighborhood Y. Of course, it's great for kids. Gym and swimming, for instance. The YMCA camps where kids can swim, ride, hike, and learn sports of all kinds. Outdoors in the clean air and sunshine. Support your YMCA. They're in the people business.
Miss Armstrong?
Yes?
May I ask you a few questions?
Well, I am rather rushed.
It'll only take a minute.
Oh, all right.
Thank you. Miss Armstrong, I hear you're going into seclusion for the most important production of your life. What's it going to be?
I'm not quite sure.
But how do you prepare for something without knowing what it is?
Oh, my doctor will help me. You see, this is very different from my other roles. Oh, and I must follow all of his orders.
Your doctor?
Yes. First, I must set up regular appointments with him. Eat well-balanced and nourishing meals. Exercise moderately.
I see.
And stay away from all pills and other medications, except those prescribed by him.
What does that have to do with the performing arts?
Oh, everything. The preparation for any performance requires discipline. You see, I'm preparing for a baby. With my doctor and the March of Dimes to coach me, I won't miss a cue. Oh, and I already know the most important line.
What's that?
The March of Dimes says, "Be good to your baby before it is born."
Whenever the argument about the oldest of professions arises, along with the prostitute, the actor, the moneylender, and others, certainly we must include that of the private eye. Sometimes honorable beyond belief, as in the case of Cain and Abel when Jehovah himself solved the murder. Many more times, not the most prized member of society, still a figure to be reckoned with. Of all the modern ones, no one is more special than the parapsychologist, the man who deals in the explanation of that vast middle world of clairvoyance, extrasensory perception, and psychic phenomena. The explainer of the inexplicable, such a man as the singular Mr. Flaxman Lowe.
Hello?
Mr. Flaxman Lowe?
Yes, the same.
This is George Blackburton. You know, we've seen each other casually at the club.
Oh, yes, of course, Sir George.
I feel like the devil bothering you like this, but you were pointed out to me as someone who, well, was more or less an expert in the occult and supernatural.
Well, I have made a good deal of investigation, yes, but,
I'm in desperate need of help. Could you come right down to my place in Surrey? We have something that even my wife can't cope with.
Something?
Perhaps it's an old curse. I don't know, but there is a thing that is trying to crowd us out of the house that you can actually taste and smell. Disgusting and terrifying. I need help.
Well, I don't know about immediately. I'm expecting a guest from France whom I must pick up shortly.
By all means, bring him with you. Let him be our guest, too, for the weekend. If you don't help us, I'm afraid I'll go stark, staring mad.
Oh, very well. I think it might be arranged.
Monsieur Lowe, I recognize you from your photograph.
Oh, my dear boy, you must be Professor Jean Thierry.
I am.
Well, you look young enough to be my son, him with such a formidable academic background.
As I come to meet you, I am a child at the feet of the master.
Oh, now you make me feel like the all-wise spirit.
Well, are you not the king of ghost killers, the master of the spirit world?
Oh, scarcely. I'm a child in the wilderness of the afterworld. And, at the moment, an embarrassed host.
Oh, why?
Well, What would you say if instead of taking you home to my comfortable fire, as I'd planned to, I whisked you off instead into the depths of Kent for a weekend at a haunted house far beyond your belief and which even stretches mine?
What would I say? What am I here for?
Well, so we stay right here in the station and catch the next train for Yand Manor House.
We had corresponded for years, the Dr. Flexman and I, and the quality of his mind was such that I had been most eager to meet him, to argue vis-à-vis our contrasting belief on the matter of life after death. So what matter that our first conversation was on a train headed for this house with a strange name, Yand Manor House. This house that you have been asked to investigate, it has a ghost?
Oh, most definitely, yes.
Is it any specially convincing ghost?
Well, I think you'll find that it is.
Then you are promising me an exceptional adventure.
One not without a great deal of danger.
Well, I can't judge that, though, without trying, can I?
Well, that's the nature of contact with the world beyond.
But first you must prove it to me. I simply do not believe in ghosts, or spirit manifestation, occult phenomena, whatever is the rubbish bin into which most people throw any belief they cannot understand.
Well, this rubbish heap is what I spend my life investigating.
Chacun a son goût.
No, to each his own. And yet, are we all so sure and secure about what we think we know? I realize that you're aware of I've had some considerable success searching through the trash that most people discount.
Well, what can I answer? That I rebel against the whole idea? After all, I have no experience in these matters, except vicariously through studying and reading.
Very well. And now you're about to have some first-hand direct experience, which I hope you will not come to regret.
We went straight to Yand Manor House, certainly on my part totally unaware of the terror that was to face us, and of a gaping world of swirling doubt, bottomless, and as insecure as that dreadful dream of falling from incalculable heights to impossible depths, a dream beyond belief that was to haunt me the rest of my days. We were met at the train by Sir George and quickly transferred to a large and luxurious landau with a magnificent pair of horses. I had been prepared for something quite magnificent when we approached Yand Manor House, but actually it was not so impressive compared to the property that surrounded it. A square brick house, notable only for a strangely out-of-character building at the end of the garden that was unmistakably a mausoleum. But our hosts I found quite charming.
Your rooms are comfortable, I hope, Mr. Lowe, Professor Thierry?
Oh, I find mine even better than that. Cozy.
Oh, yes, mine too. I feel quite at home.
And you need have no worries. I've swept them myself.
What Cynthia means is that she has, not literally swept them for dust, but for any sign or evidence of supernatural occupation or presence.
I assure you they're quite clean. In fact, I've combed the whole house, and there's not a jot of evidence that any spirit forces or spectral emanations exist. Save for, of course, the den. I'm a psychic, too, you know, Mr. Lowe.
Oh, well, you flatter me, Lady Blackburton. I don't consider myself one, only an investigator of psychic phenomena.
You do not believe in the spirit world?
Ah, that's a different matter.
I think you will find, madame, that he is a true believer. I am the, fly in the ointment.
Well, monsieur, before you leave Yand House, I can promise we will have made a true believer of you.
Well, you sound almost as though you enjoyed this ghost, which so concerns your husband.
Oh, no. No, this is something malignant, destructive. It must be exorcised. I've tried to reach it through spiritualism, but without success. I only hope that with your help, perhaps we can.
May I ask when we're to see the room?
We're waiting only for my nephew, who'll be joining us for dinner.
We will be 5, the Pentateuch, the perfect number for a seance. One reason why we were delighted when you asked if you could bring a guest, Dr. Lowe.
I only hope, madame, that I will not be a limiting factor.
We ask only for your cooperation. I feel quite sure we'll end up by winning your belief.
That'll be Charles now. Don't you think, my dear, it might be a good idea for us all to go straight into dinner?
I think perhaps it would. Gentlemen, will you join me?
There had been a curious little family byplay between Sir George and his wife, which was soon explained to me after I met Charles Volney. He was a large, heavy young man with an athletic build. I can't say I found him an attractive personality, but what was most noticeable about him was that he was already on his way to another evening, which could only lead to a hangover in the morning.
And so, Aunt Cynthia, we're to have another table-tapping session?
Charles, I won't have you talk to your aunt that way.
Well, good Lord, Uncle George, has she really got you believing in all this twaddle?
The strange things that happen in that room can't be taken lightly.
He doesn't really take them lightly at all, George. The bravado is just to cover up his own fear.
Rubbish, Auntie. Some wind blowing down the chimney, rustling the ivy and swinging something loose against a window, or the creaks and groans of this drafty old house. Nonsense. Are you seriously interested in all this balderdash, Dr. Lowe?
Yes. After all, I have made it my life work.
Yes, of course, but to expose frauds and to show up fakers.
In part, yes, that is a byproduct.
Now, you're not going to tell me you actually believe in bits of ectoplasm bumbling about, droning and clanking chains.
May I quote you from Hamlet? There are more things under heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamed of.
Oh, Lord, I'm in a nest of nuts.
No, not quite. You have another skeptic at the table.
Professor Thierry, huh?
Yes, you see, we're a good balance. 2 for, 2 against, and Sir George somewhere in the middle.
Well, I'm not so sure anymore, Flaxman. Not after the last experience. The one that sent me scurrying to you for help.
Now, my information about the room, we're about to, what's the best word? Shall we settle for invade? Is still sketchy.
Naturally, Dr. Lowe. It has to be all the things you can't question, only interpret. The wind blowing, a shutter clacking. You know, it's so easy if you can't see anything face to face.
Yes, look, if you'll excuse me, Charles, I think there have been other manifestations. Am I wrong?
Far from it. Hearing and seeing are not the only senses. One can actually feel the presence.
Oh, it's all in the mind.
It's a lot more than that, damn it. I tell you, one can smell it.
Smell it?
The fetid odor of death, the grave and decay. It's not only smell, but taste. If it runs true to form, after a certain hour, none of us will be able to remain in the room.
Why?
Because, my dear nephew, we shall be crowded out.
But why would these presents, or whatever it is, want to, your strange phrase, crowd anyone out?
It's an experience one can't describe, that one has to live, Professor Thierry. As if, somewhere in one's daily life, one closed one's eyes for a second and suddenly realized he was standing at the verge of a gaping hole that plunged into such terrifying darkness and eternal damnation that a bile of terror rises in the throat and threatens to suffocate you.
There's an enemy in that room at such times who presses against you so massively that you feel as if you're being trampled under a multitude, helpless against a torrent. A stifling, a force that you must move from or be smothered to death. Oh, forgive me. This is not exactly after-dinner conversation, but it is a reality in George's and my life that we must face or run from if we can. We've decided to face it. Will you chance it with us?
We have gotten ourselves involved in something this time around, haven't we? I don't know where each of you stands on the power of the spirit world, extension after death, or belief in ghosts. But I do hope you'll stay to do a little more research with me and Mr. Lowe on the nature of it, the possibility of it, and exactly what effects it can have on us. I shall return shortly with Act 2.
Give your hand to a friend. Give your heart to your love. But give your phone to contact.
Here in my hand is a little capsule. It's tiny, yet it contains enough cold medicine to help relieve cold symptoms caused by every known virus. Every known virus. It's Contact. The same 12-hour Contact you can buy. This year, Contact with its tiny time pills will touch more lives, help more colds than any other cold medicine, tablet or liquid. Think about that the next time you're sick, sneezing, dripping, all clogged up. Then let us help you with real medicine, like Contact. We're #1 in the whole world, for good reason.
Give your hand to a friend. Give your heart to your love. But give your phone to contact.
It works all day, all night. Take only as directed.
15 minutes. It's a very short time. Not enough time to do much. You can't read a book or plant a garden or see a movie. But if your friend has had too much to drink, 15 minutes is plenty of time for him to get into a car and drive down a dark road and run into a tree or another car and die. In 15 minutes, your friend could be dead forever. Don't let that happen. Care for him. Do something. In the same short 15 minutes, you could save your friend's life. With a few cents worth of gas, you could drive him home safely, or you could put him into a cab. Take the time to care for a friend. 15 minutes. That's all it would take. If you don't take the time, if you let him drive and your friend dies, think of all the years and years you'll have to live with it. Friends don't let friends drive drunk. A public service message on behalf of the U.S. Department of Transportation.
People sit in the shadow of the great carved chimney piece which rises above the mantel to the high ceiling. About a dark table of fumed oak, they hold hands. 4 of them watch Cynthia go into trance and wait for the manifestations from beyond. The room is dark and brooding enough to raise Satan himself. The lamps smoke and cloud the atmosphere, as if the air pressure is heavy beyond nature. But nothing happens.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, we are trying to reach you. Can you not answer? Answer. No. Not tonight. Tonight I can't do it, George. There are forces against me. I don't know what it is. Break the circle. Bring up the lights.
I will, Cynthia, my dear. And rest. Relax. Cynthia, you extend yourself too much.
I'm all right, George, dear. But I must rest now. If you'll excuse me,
We may not have raised any wandering spirits inside, but we seem to have created some outside.
If you'll excuse me, I think I'd best see Cynthia up to bed.
Please give my apologies to our guests.
Hush, Cynthia. Don't worry about
I worry about what I must. Did you ride over, Charles?
Oh, yes, Auntie.
I don't want you to go back in the storm like this. You must stay. Any one of the rooms in the West Wing, they're all made up.
Now, don't you worry about me.
But I do.
Very well, Auntie. I promise.
Come along, Cynthia. Charles, since I'll not be down again tonight, will you see to our guest needs?
I also promise to be an excellent host, Uncle George. Good night.
Good night, Lady Blackbird and Sir George.
Laundry?
Good night.
Well, gentlemen, what should it be? Whiskey, gin, brandy?
No. For me, nothing. It was a long journey from Paris, and this afternoon's trip has finished the job. I am exhausted.
No, I don't think I want any either. Why don't we all just go up to bed? Huh?
Ah, yes, bed, sleep. Those I welcome. But, I'm not going upstairs.
Well, you're not going to ride home in weather like this.
No, Mr. Lowe. I'm going to spend the night right here.
You mean in this room?
That's right. Either I will sleep the sleep of the unrighteous, or if I'm wrong and my aunt's right, I'll have some company. Now, I mean to put an end to all this nonsense about ghosts and ghouls.
Then I shall sit up with you.
Oh, perish the thought, Mr. Lowe. With your reputation, I'm sure any self-respecting member of the other world would give you a wide berth. Well, are you still sure you won't join me in a brandy? Very well.
Mr. Volney, may I ask you to be serious for a moment?
You may ask me.
I don't think you should take your aunt's warning lightly. Even though there's been no physical evidence tonight, apparently some malignant and dangerous force considers this room its province.
Then if it does, I intend to disabuse it of the idea. More than that, I'd want it off my turf. You see, this house will be mine one day, very soon, if my aunt and uncle decide to return to traveling. And I want it, whoever or whatever it might be, and mark you, I don't believe it exists. I want it to know that when I take over, there'll only be room for one of us.
And no amount of discussion would persuade this headstrong young man to change his mind. Personally, I couldn't help agreeing with his point of view. The idea of anything supernatural daring to intrude in this temple of the normal and the everyday seemed ludicrous. So, Flaxman and I went upstairs.
John,
yes.
I am concerned.
About me?
Actually, I must admit my concern was more for that young man downstairs.
I should not worry about him. One more drink and the wine will put him straight to sleep.
Well, I'm not worried about anything that may threaten him in this world. I left my practical French friend and went to my own room. The storm was still whistling and moaning about Yand Manor House, but it was a perfectly natural phenomenon, and it was certainly no cause for alarm. I must have been sleeping lightly, for a grandfather clock striking the 3/4 hour somewhere in the house woke me up. I glanced at my watch and saw that it was 1/4 to midnight. I shrugged into my robe and slippers and stole downstairs. The house was silent, save for the moan of the wind and the steady drum of the rain outside. The door to the den was closed, and I opened it, filled with a nameless apprehension. I could have saved myself my uneasiness. Stretched out comfortably on the couch, a still unemptied glass in his hand, lay Charles Volney, snoring contentedly and looking to my middle-aged envy, the picture of health in spite of all his drinking. I removed the glass and set it aside. For a moment, I considered getting him out of there. But he was so soundly in his cups and such a heavy young man, the effort was beyond me. Besides, I was getting cold. So I stoked up the fire and left him. To my eternal regret, as it turned out. Dr. Lowe. Dr. Lowe. Yes, just a moment. Be right there. Oh, come in. The door is open.
I'm sorry to disturb you so early in the morning.
No, it's quite all right. What time is it?
The sun isn't even up, I'm afraid. 5:30. But something dreadful's occurred. Oh, forgive my almost whispering, but I don't want Cynthia to know yet.
All right, what is it?
It's Charles.
Hello, forgive me. I thought I heard an urgent knocking. Do I intrude?
Quite all right, Professor. Everyone must know sooner or later. My nephew Charles is dead.
What? Oh, quel mauvais fortune.
How?
That's the terrifying thing. I want you to come and see for yourself and answer me that question.
I followed Dr. Lowe and Sir George downstairs to that terrible room. Except that the fire had burned out, it looked much as it did when we all had left the night before. Except for Charles Volney. If I can refer to the caricature of him that we saw. He was braced in the corner between the window recess and where the chimney jutted out, as if he had tried to escape and been glued there by some giant force that literally crushed him. His face was suffused with blood, his eyes starting from his head. He was quite dead. He must have been dead for several hours.
What do you think, Dr. Lowe? Frightened to death?
No, more than that. He was smothered, asphyxiated. I don't quite know how to describe it. Pressed to death almost.
Yes, once during the war, I had a friend in a building that was bombed. He was not injured directly. Only the force of the blast within a confined space drove him against the wall and somehow flattened him. He was spread wide.
Good Lord. It's not natural.
No, my friend Sir George, it is, I'm afraid, supernatural. Yes, he should have listened to your wife, and I should have listened to my own misgivings.
Alas, I feel at fault there.
No, Jean. I came down last night again, just before midnight. He'd passed out on the couch, and I couldn't move him.
It's no one's fault but mine. I should never have come back to this accursed house. And I'll call Mr. Bunbury. He's our local superintendent of police.
So, I saved you for the last, Mr. Lowe, knowing your reputation and all.
Well, I don't know whether that's a plus or a minus.
Oh, now, sir, plus, of course. And not that I understand some of your investigations, but you stand very high at Scotland Yard, very high.
Thank you.
Now, I've checked out the servants, and they can all alibi each other for one reason or another. On the other hand, I can't seriously imagine a suspect among all of you in the main house here, even admitting that Sir George, and particularly his lady, are a bit of a rum-go, both of them. Oh, but particularly her.
Are you referring to her belief in spiritualism, Superintendent?
That'd be it, sir. And then, a couple of things Sir George told me.
Oh, may I ask what?
Oh, my intention is to tell you. That's why I brought it up. First off, he said he came down here by candlelight and found the deceased.
Mm-hmm.
But before he did, passing the mantelpiece, the candle went out, just as something like, well, in his own words, something spectral brushed across my cheek, and I saw in front of my face 2 barred eyes looking at me.
Barred eyes. Now, what does that mean?
Oh, that's exactly what I asked, sir, and he replied, eyes that looked at me as though through the bars of a cage. And then I was conscious of a strange flat taste in my mouth and the odor of damp and decay. And I lit the candle and saw poor Charles. Now, what do you make of that, sir?
Well, you've seen the corpse. What do you make of it, Superintendent?
Why don't you? That's why I'm asking you.
You don't believe in ghosts, I take it.
Well, I haven't. I know you've been in on many investigations, however, where it seemed to be something like that, only, wasn't.
Well, can you think of any other explanation for this death?
Meaning that you think it was something, supernatural?
Well, I don't see any other explanation for the moment.
Oh, I wouldn't think that would quite satisfy my superiors. I mean, it's quite clear the chap couldn't have killed himself, you see. So someone else has to be guilty. And I hope for everyone's sake we can find out just who.
It was sheer inadvertence that I happened to be in the solarium right off the porch where this interview took place. Or was it? Because as soon as it was over and the sergeant had left, Flaxman came out to join me.
John, you heard that?
Yes, I'm beginning to wonder if I was meant to.
Wasn't quite deliberate on my part, but since I knew you were here, I thought you might just as well because of tonight.
Tonight? What is tonight?
I don't know how much it'll help with the police, but it might lead to ultimate proof for me to win an argument with you that has stretched out over many years of correspondence.
I am still in the dark.
Well, as I or we may very well find ourselves tonight.
Where?
In the room where Charles died. I intend to spend a night there as he did. Do you want to share my vigil against the total powers of darkness?
And as Professor Thierry regards his brilliant but strange friend and intellectual enemy, remembering the horrible death he has seen one man suffer, but pondering the challenge of ultimate proof on a basic principle, I must leave them, and you, till I return with Act 3.
Here we are talking with one of the thousands and thousands of people who bought a Buick this year. This is a Skylark, right?
That's right, pretty, huh?
Indeed it is.
You want to sit in it? I'll let you for $1.25.
You charge to let people sit in your Skylark?
Oh, this is a very nice car. Look, I figure when word gets out, people will be lined up for blocks. Hey, you want to honk the horn? Give me a dime.
Listen, sir, Buick dealers let people do this for free.
They do?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're missing a good bet.
Buick, dedicated to the free spirit in just about everyone.
Of all times to get hemorrhoids, why?
Pregnancy is a major cause.
What helps?
Well, since you're expecting, ask your doctor before using any medication.
My sister used Preparation H.
For many women, Preparation H relieves occasional pain and itch for hours.
Sounds good.
Preparation H does more. Actually helps shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissue caused by inflammation.
Even better.
Preparation H helps shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissues.
Use only as directed.
The most important people since people first began are children, 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 for the child is father of the man. The baby is our future, from Iceland to Japan. So care about the children, for the child is father of the man. The future of the world depends on what the children do, and you must up will help you help the children to help you. So do your most and give your most and do the best you can to help the children, 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 for the child is father of the man.
Richard Rogers gave this song to UNICEF. The Tucson Boys Choir gave their talents. To learn what you can give, call your local UNICEF committee or write UNICEF, United Nations, New York.
The child is father of the man.
It has been a long and difficult day at Yand Manor House. The comings and goings, police, photographers, inevitably the newspapers. Finally, the undertaker and the removal of what is left of Charles Volney's terrestrial presence. Sir George and his wife have naturally been totally involved in this, and it is not until evening that their guests, who have tactfully tried to stay out from underfoot, have been able to exchange more than a few words with either of them. Now, Mrs. Blackburton has at last been able to find a moment alone with Flaxman Lowe, walking in the garden.
It's all my fault, you see.
No, I don't see.
I was the one who talked George into coming back to Yand Manor after all these years.
Oh, Lady Blackburton has a bench right here. Would you like to sit down?
Oh, beside the mausoleum? Why not? It's strangely appropriate.
Why? What is this building?
Well, that's part of it all. Yand Manor has been in George's family since a sort of granduncle willed it to his grandfather, with a specific reservation.
And that was?
That in perpetuity, till the last of the Blackburton heirs, Yand House must remain in the family's hands, and that if the family didn't occupy it, it couldn't be rented.
Well, now, I doubt if that would hold up in any legal court.
Possibly not, but beyond that, there was the curse.
The curse?
That anyone who broke the promise or the letter of it would die a horrible death.
Oh, I see. And, Sir George believed this?
George is such a decent man, Dr. Lowe. It wouldn't have had to go that far. He would have just lived up to a family promise as his father and he had in their own way and kept Yand House without living in it. But you see, I was the one who forced the issue.
You decided that as long as you were back in England, it was silly not to live in a house you already owned.
Yes, Plus, by now, my dedication to spiritualism, my new venture into the occult. So I'm the author and the instrument of this tragedy. I feel as if I'd actually murdered my nephew, Charles.
Oh, now, Lady Blackburn, I don't understand that.
Because having forced George to return here against his will, he'd rebelled. He didn't like all these supernatural manifestations. And it was only at my insistence, at my plea, that he brought you down here. If they couldn't be stopped or explained, he determined to sell the property and destroy this mausoleum.
I see.
As soon as it was legally possible.
And may I ask who rests here?
That uncle of George's grandfather who started this whole thing.
His body is actually in that tomb?
Yes. Locked in a strange lead casket.
A lead casket?
This uncle was a strange man with an inordinate fear of death.
Oh.
It's said that he predicted his own death and arranged to have a doctor in attendance. And he died very suddenly and unexpectedly.
I see. Lady Blackburn, you're asking for my help, aren't you?
I had no right to, but yes. I feel that my hobbies have inadvertently led my husband and his family into a terrible peril. The only one I know who might save them is you.
I see. Then may I have your husband's and your permission to spend tonight in the den as your nephew did last night?
I don't want to risk your life.
Well, I won't deny it may be risk, but first of all, I know what I'm doing, which your nephew did not. And second, I shall not be alone.
And so it was we came to that fateful night. My friend Flaxman Lowe and I entered that fearful room, closed the door behind us, and settled down to challenge whatever malevolent spirit he thought still occupied it. I was still skeptical and remaining to be convinced. This is the account of that evening.
It was very different from the night before. No wind was stirring. It had been a beautiful sunset. There was no need for a fire. And for some time, after long discussion, Jean, Thierry, and I were sitting quietly. All of a sudden, he rose.
I'm thirsty. Would you like a drink?
No, thank you, Jean. I want to have all my senses alert.
I meant only plain water.
No, thank you.
Oh, what an abominable taste.
What, the water?
No, I haven't touched it yet. It is as if some horrible fly has flown into my mouth. It is disgusting.
Yes, like a fungus growth.
Yes, repulsive like that.
Yeah, I ask only because I feel the same. Well, I think you're about to be convinced.
You don't mean that... Why did you put out the lamp?
I didn't. Light the candle beside you on the table.
Very well. Tonnerre, give me your matches, Doc. No, mine are damp.
Where are you?
I'm here. Oh, it is as dark as Egypt. I am coming. It is so hard to get along.
Hard to get along?
Yes, I am unable to move. I am suffocating. Where are you? I am here by the door.
The air in the room had become palpable to the touch. Heavy, clogging, repulsive, with a sensation of smothering, cold human flesh. I fought against it, gasping for breath, the clammy flesh crowding over me, smothering me like some fat, nauseating humanoid jellyfish. And then, across my cheek, there was a stinging, reeking pain. With my last strength, I fled the terror. There was a crash of glass, a wild rush of air, and I knew no more. When I came to, I saw the dawn was breaking to the east, and I was lying on the lawn of Yand Manor House. Above me was a shattered lattice window swinging in the wind, and clutched in my hand was something dark in color, slender and twisted. It might have been the skin of an adder, a piece of bark rolling itself up like a parchment scroll, or the desiccated claw of some unimaginable beast from hell. I hurried into the house, barely conscious of the smarting pain in my left cheek, fearful only for my friend Jean. I found him unconscious just outside the door to that baleful room, but thank God, alive. Yes, just take it easy, Jean. All right, now, can you stand? Are you all right?
Yes.
Huh?
I think so.
All right. You have a bruise on your forehead. Are you dizzy?
No, not anymore.
What happened to you?
I don't know. I was literally crowded out of the room by that infernal thing. What was it? With its damp, swelling flesh. I was buried in that stifling pulp. It pushed and swelled against me, driving me away from you in the dark to the door. I called out, but I could hear no answer. What was that ghastly presence?
Well, I think I can answer that now.
It was what killed the young man, no?
Yes, the very same. And I hope I can convince the inspector of that.
Well, you have made a convert of me. Why not him?
Well, we shall see. First of all, Sir George, the spectral hand that seemed to brush across your face as you told Superintendent Bumbry.
Yes?
You were by the fireplace at the time, passing the ornamental foremantle that rises above it.
Yes.
You see all those figures carved there, in particular the griffin, and hanging from the sharp point of its beak, these...
Human hairs.
Yes, human hairs, black. Now, whose would you say they were? Both Professor Thierry and myself are gray. You're light-haired, and your nephew was fair. Sir George is sandy. Now, who else frequents this room?
No one, except the maid, who is also graying. But these are a woman's hair.
Why? Why? Because they're long?
Well, yes.
Uh-huh. And this?
What is that? Could I see?
Sure.
A long, thin object, half brown, half yellow, and twisted like the blade of a corkscrew. Oh, I have no idea.
Well, suppose I suggest it's a human nail, which time and neglect has allowed to grow to superhuman proportions.
Mon Dieu, it would have to be 12 inches long. Nobody but an ancient Chinese mandarin could grow such a monstrosity.
Or a corpse who refused to die.
I don't quite get that last.
Mr. Superintendent, let me project something. This uncle who left Yand Manor House to your grandfather, Sir George, was he dark and hirsute? Was he a recluse? Did he build a mausoleum in the garden? And did he have an inordinate fear of death?
Yes, to all counts.
And is it not true that both you and the nephew who might have been your heir were ready to take all steps to get rid of this mausoleum and or Yand Manor House, particularly your nephew?
I suppose so.
Then, Superintendent, I can categorically tell you that your murderer lies in the casket in that mausoleum, and the murderer of anyone who tries to oust him from this property as long as he shall live.
Are you suggesting that a man dead over a century is still in some sense alive?
Unless it sustains injury itself. The brain is the last to die. In fact, it's the only measure of finite death. Now open the coffin, and you'll see what I mean.
It was complicated, of course, with all the necessary red tape. But on a certain day, the coffin, which took 10 men to move out into the sunlight and sealed as tight as a drum, was opened.
Fool.
Perhaps, Lady Blackburton. But you see, the urge, the dream, the thirst for immortality persists. His own special coffin, sealed airtight, so confining that when his soul stirred beyond his finite body, he must have had an illimitable desire to expand and choke out anyone who stood in his way.
But after 100 years, the flesh, the form, still undisturbed.
Except for the hair and the nails and the eyelashes. Look at the length of them. All of them must have kept growing since he was locked in the coffin.
Are you suggesting this man was, or is, still alive?
In a sense, yes, Superintendent. You see, he seems to have mastered some ancient formula whereby the body is saved from complete disintegration. And you can see that evidence before you. So that closes your case for you, Mr. Superintendent. Now you know how young Mr. Volney met his death.
And what about us, Dr. Lowe?
Oh, I think you'll have little reason for fear being haunted anymore. You see, in the sunlight, the body already is beginning to disintegrate. By the end of the day, there'll be nothing left but a fleshless skeleton.
How can I thank you for what you've accomplished?
Now, don't thank me. It's fate and the proper relationship of things. God and the world have a way of reestablishing those. And have I convinced you, Professor, that at least there is something beyond your pragmatic values?
My dear Dr. Lowe, you have convinced me that you will add another branch to our sciences. But I must admit, you establish your facts too well for my total peace of mind.
The remarkable Flaxman Lowe, parapsychic private eye, has been and continues to be a dominating figure in the field of parapsychology and in unraveling its mysteries, or at least illuminating them. If this is a field which interests you, perhaps I shall bring you other cases in the future.
Budweiser presents Beer Talk.
When you say Bud, you've said a lot of things nobody else can say.
I once asked the Budweiser brewmaster which was best, bottled or draft. He said it depends on what you like. I said I like my Bud in a tall glass with a thick collar of foam. So which was best, bottled or draft? Then he said all Budweiser beer is carefully brewed and slowly beechwood aged the exact same way. So which is best, I asked. Budweiser, he said. Want a cold one? Absolutely, I answered. To which he replied, bottled or draft? I tell you, sometimes you just can't lose.
There is no other one. There's only something less. Because the king of beer is leading all the rest. When you say Budweiser, you've said it all.
Anheuser-Busch, headquarters, St. Louis, Missouri.
The remains of that ominous and ancient ancestor have long been transferred to a normal burying place, and the mausoleum torn down. Sir George and his wife stay on at Yand Manor House. Cynthia Blackburton has long since given up spiritualism and assorted interests in favor of feminism. Of course, since she is still in the 19th century, you might not recognize it for what it is today. But her spirit lingers on through the women's suffragette movement, through memories of Emma Goldman and her sister standard-bearers, who were the progenitors of women's lib. Our cast included Larry Haynes, Paul Hecht, Betty Winkler, Guy Sorrell, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Contact, the 12-hour cold capsule. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Oh, God, I love this chat so much, man. Oh, gosh, where do I begin? That was a great story. I bet you weren't expecting that. You know, good old lady Blackburton, and I didn't expect it to turn out that way when I first heard it in 1976, but I can tell you, I remember listening to this and thinking to myself, yes, more ghost stories, yes, paranormal investigator, all of these things. And that was in, golly, it seems so long ago, you know. And I wonder how many other people got the idea, you know, or the spark or the thought that there was such a thing in, you know, 74, 75, 76. That's one of the reasons I left in the commercials too, because you can see the difference in the commercials. You can hear the difference. I didn't play all of them. The best part of these is when they play the news, and I'm listening in the beginning and they give, you know, a good, like they used to run of the news 10, 15 minutes or whatever, and talking about Nixon deciding to resign, and things about Watergate, and just, you know, time, you know, like kind of pins in a map of time. It's different things. You can kind of remember where you were and how long ago it was, but you can actually tell when you listen to these commercials and the things that they said. That's another thing. It was a energy crisis, and they were cutting back on gas, and odd and even license plates, and wasting more gas sitting in line waiting on gas. I mean, it was a time, you know. And sometimes it seems not so long ago. But these stories are terrific. I'm so glad you stayed with me tonight. Roll over, Donnie and Glenn and Aunt Edna and AJK, because I think Sysco's going to sleep now. Quit stealing the covers. Thanks for all joining me. This isn't the first time we've had some good ghost stories in bed. And I can spend it with anybody better than this live chat. And the things that went on tonight, it's just 2 hours and so much stuff going on around the world right now. So don't forget to send out positive energy. Don't forget to take good care of yourself. Donnie, we got to talk about Sun Tzu. Yes, ninjas. And yes, Steve and I would absolutely, I thought about it. And I bet you he would go along with me on this. Fire everybody. Probably pass out. Everybody gets a joint and chocolate chip cookies. And Steve and I would go to lunch. Right after we put on Dark Side of the Moon on every loudspeaker across the land on a loop. Peace. We love you, Olivia. Love you, chat. Love you, gatekeepers. Don't worry about the stuff going on. Just take care of yourself and make that light as bright as you can. And if it starts to go dim, meet us here on Sunday nights and Monday nights and get rejuvenated and just so much good positive light in this live chat. And if you got a friend that needs one, share it. If you have a moment, stop by and hit the like. If you want to go to the TeePublic and get yourself a t-shirt or a mug or a sticker, maybe we should just have a sticker, you know, war, and just everybody gets about 100 stickers, and we just stick them all over everything. And tell everybody, if you need, you know, if you think you might fit in, come on in. We don't put up with any nonsense, but we sure do talk about it. I love you all. Thanks for sharing these ghost stories with me. The Oscar Wilde thing was absolutely, totally out of thin air. It was not planned. Both of these were recorded months away from each other, and I had no idea, unless it was subconscious. And that's out of thousands of episodes. Truly, one every night for what? How many? 6 years? A couple thousand. So Oscar Wilde might be giving us a wave. If so, thank you, sir, for your wonderful stories. We sure enjoyed one of them tonight. And if you haven't read The Canterville Ghost, get a copy from your library. Don't spend your money. Just get a copy if you can, and read it to a kid, to a grandkid, and maybe they'll get bit by the paranormal bug too, and turn into one of these wonderful paranormal butterflies who try to raise their vibration and help others do the same. They're in this chat every Sunday and Monday night. I love you, gatekeepers. We are out.